Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the shoot. My name is Adam, and as per usual, I am joined by the one and only Chris.
Howdy.
Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be checking out the VGA categories and casting our votes, which I have yet to do. Round three is still open. We are 2 days, 3 days out from the big show. And I, for the most part, have stayed pretty in the dark with a lot of this stuff. I know there's a bunch of drama around it, but we will get to that when it is pertinent. So, Chris, if you want to, I know you already voted. If you want to pull up the categories so you can follow along, that'd be cool. If not, I'll be reading them out.
Already there.
Cool. So I'm starting with Player's Choice. I'm going to work my way back towards Game of the Year.
Understandable?
All right. So the first thing we have is Player's Choice. Up for vote is Black Myth Wukong, Genshin Impact, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero. I'm going to be completely honest. I have played 0% of these games. However, I have the utmost respect for Game Science right now, because they came out of nowhere and they blew the world away with their project. Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree. We're really putting a DLC in a category that's not based around DLCs. More of that to come later. And the rest of these, if I recall correctly, they're like mobile games.
So, for my interjection,
Sure.
it's
Shoot.
very clear who I voted for, which is a Black Myth Wukong, because
Right.
it is.
Yeah, that's where my vote's going to, because it's
Mwah.
it's like the only game on this
So,
list.
so I cannot say I've played 0% of these games. I gave both, I believe, Wuthering Waves, but definitely Zenless Zone Zero a chance. Um, And by chance, I don't mean downloaded, played for 15 minutes. No, I played them for a little bit longer than that, and then dropped them, uninstalled them from my phone, because unfortunately, I think Genshin Impact is probably the only mobile game on this list that doesn't feel like hollow in a sense of purpose, because there's exploration, there's a ton of story, and unfortunately, Wuthering Waves didn't really feel like there was all that much to like worth of exploring when I played it. And Zenless Zone Zero is like a hub world, and then almost constantly in the action. And the action's really cool, but it's also not as well put together as it doesn't matter if it's a mobile game. I expect the best, and I expect innovation, because mobile games have been the same for a very long time. Zenless Zone Zero almost gets there, but falls short. And because of that, even though I haven't played Black Myth Wukong, it is something very different, and it is our first real, like, huge from China success, and everybody likes this game. So
Right.
that's why I put my vote the way I did.
So is Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero, is that essentially just like waifu summoner?
Pretty much every Genshin Impact is like that, but they also get like the bros in there too, and every time I've seen anything about it, it feels like they actually care about their story and their world. Wuthering Waves felt like getting waifus on the team, but like then the exploration is kind of Breath of the Wild esque, but there's like less reason to do so. And then Zenless Zone Zero was collect the waifus and some anime dudes, and do combat from third person camera, so you're seeing the sexy anime waifu in action.
Oh, yeah, of course. You got to see that ass jiggle. But anyway, we will go ahead and cast our vote for Black Myth Wukong and submit that vote. Most anticipated game. So this is something I can fucking talk to. There's only one choice for me, and it's a choice that might be a little surprising. Because I love Hideo Kojima games, absolutely love them. Uh, but I'm not down with Walking Simulator. I didn't like
That's where.
I didn't like the first Death Stranding. Um, Grand Theft Auto could not care less about GTA. And yes, here come the downvotes. Here they come. Just shower me with downvotes. I don't give a shit. Grand Theft Auto is the same game every installment. You're a criminal who just got out of prison. You're looking to work your way back into the system, and you become more criminal. Like, that is every single Grand Theft Auto game. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm just laughing as I visualize all the downvotes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not afraid. I won't turn off comments. Metroid Prime 4, I'm convinced this will just never come out. I have not played a Metroid game since Super Metroid. Back when they were good. And yeah, so making a whole lot of fucking enemies today. But yeah, this game is just never going to see a light of day, honestly. Maybe 10 years ago, possibly, but today, nah. Either that or it'll be like some lame Switch game. It's going to have very similar reception as like Duke Nukem Forever. That was a game I was really looking forward to way back in the day, and it's just been too long.
What a fate to have.
Yeah. And then we get to Monster Hunter Wilds. I played Monster Hunter. I played Monster Hunter World, and it was fun. I don't care about Wilds. I know
Sounds like Yote.
yeah, it is. Yeah, Ghost of Yote. So Monster Hunter Wilds is a game that my good friends have been trying to get me to check out since it was announced. Sorry. I can't. It's just not my thing. And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah,
because
nothing wrong with that.
Because Ghost of Yote is getting my vote.
So my vote is that there are 3 games on here that I have no investment in, even though I am guaranteed. I truly believe Ghost of Yote will be an incredible game. Mm-hmm. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond only very recently got a very brief gameplay teaser this year. I have no attachment to the Metroid series, and I hope it's not a Duke Nukem Forever, but theoretically that is a possibility. But there's one game I'm excited for, and that is Monster Hunter Wilds. I loved Iceborne, and then Rise was a step in a different direction that I didn't enjoy as much. And so now we're basically getting Iceborne, Monster Hunter World Iceborne 2. And it's going to be for modern console, simultaneous release. I've watched every trailer as soon as I find out about it, and I'm just very excited for this game. But my prediction is that GTA 6 will win most anticipated.
Probably. And you know what? It might not. So here's my thoughts on why I think it might not. I don't hear people talking about GTA 6. Ever. Like, maybe it's just because of, like, the group that I've sort of, like, embedded myself in. But it's never been a subject of conversation.
And the only time I hear about it is in YouTube comments when we got X before GTA 6. So.
That's rough, buddy. Now, I will say this to all my friends watching this video right now. If you buy me a copy of Wilds, I'll play with you. But that's the only way it's happening. On to the next one. Now we have Best Adaptation. So I have seen part of one of these things.
I have seen most of one of these things.
Okay. I'm going to all right, I'm going to guess which one. Actually, no, I'm going to put my cursor over the one to like keep from me cheating. I'm going to put my cursor over the one that I think it was that you watched most of. And then I'm going to have you say it. Cursor is set in 3, 2, 1, go.
Fallout.
I'm a god. Yeah, that's the only one. I've seen 2 episodes of Fallout, 1 or 2 episodes. And from what I saw, it was fine. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was good. It's gonna get my vote.
Remember. Yeah, so I'm also gonna vote for it as well, and I know it was, it was an internet feud of sorts when it came out, with, you know, people saying it's good, people saying it's bad, a lot of like back and forth on the internet, people getting nasty with each other. I must stress that I have no investment in the Fallout series at all, and that the only time I was about to get into it was when people were talking up 76 before it launched.
Oh.
And I was like, multiplayer? I'll play with my friends. And the setting always seemed cool. So, never bought it. Dodged a bullet there.
16 times the detail, Chris.
Yes, 16 times the detail. You won't need NPCs. The players will be NPCs.
Oh my god, that game was so bad at launch. I hear it's good now. From a trusted source.
I've heard it's better. I don't know if good is accurate, but better.
Right. But to me, too little too late. It's the reason I won't go back to No Man's Sky unless it's free. Because I was also burned on that game's release. And pre-ordered it, did the whole thing, beat it in like an hour on my first playthrough. Severely upset. Arcane, haven't seen any of it. I do plan on checking it out eventually.
And if you guys want us to check it out together in the channel, let us know.
Yeah, that's what the comments are for. Knuckles, 0 interest.
It's probably actually good if it has anywhere near the quality that the Sonic films have had, but I have not seen it.
Yeah, well, this is also a TV show by Paramount, and we all know what Paramount's been doing to their shows.
Maybe it's not good.
Looking at you, Halo.
Oof.
Like a Dragon, I would be interested in watching that because I really enjoyed the games. They're fun. And then Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. Haven't watched it.
I've heard it was not great.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'll probably check out the first or second episode eventually, and then I'll pass my judgment because that's what I do. So anyway, Fallout got my vote. On to the next one, which is Best Multiplayer. Why isn't Smash Brothers on here?
Because Smash Brothers isn't a new game.
Can we really consider Call of Duty Black Ops 6 a new game?
I agree with you. But, you know, like I said, we've got Rebirth on here, we've got Shadow Erdtree, so sure, just throw Black Ops 6 on there, it's fine. Right?
Yeah. So, Black Ops 6, I haven't played a Call of Duty since Black Ops 3, and it was enjoyable, really fun. The story was great. And then after I beat the story, I played some of the online and never went back. Helldivers 2, I have heard so many good things about Helldivers 2, but you fucked it up.
Big time.
When they required you to set up it was a Sony account, right?
Mm-hmm.
In parts of the world that you physically could not have a Sony account, you fucking killed your game. Good job. Good for you. I hope you loved it. I hope you learned from your mistake. Because when Helldivers 3 comes out, I bet you won't be making it again. Super Mario Party Jamboree. It's Mario Party. It's Mario Party.
Mario Party.
Yeah, that's it. It's just another Mario Party game. Tekken 8. I think Tekken 8's going to get my vote because I love fighting games. And more talk about Tekken 8 to come later. But I just love what they're doing with the dramatic, what is it, like the dramatic moments where like each player throws an attack and like time slows down and it gets super fucking cool looking, and then somebody ends up getting bodied. It's usually whoever doesn't have the best button. And Warhammer 40, I know we can't say 40K anymore, but Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, I hear it's good. I hear it's just kind of bare bones at the moment, so unfortunately can't get my vote right now. So Tekken 8. I'm for
my
you,
vote went to my Nintendo bias, and I gave it to Super Mario Party Jamboree.
You would.
I am hoping that Tekken 8 is going to continue to get more content, because I think they deserve more opportunities to potentially redeem themselves for some bad blood that happened earlier in the year, just by some DLC choices and pricing choices. But I also can't get over the memes I see where Kazuya turns and he opens his closet and it's nothing but Nikes.
Right. Well, I mean, they've already announced a season 2 of DLC. They haven't said what it was going to be, just that it exists, or it's going to exist. So, yeah, it's going to get more content. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully they slow down on the game releases moving forward, because didn't we get, like, Tekken 7 3 years ago? Or was it longer than that? It feels like it was, like, only 3 years ago.
Tekken 7 was around for a while. I will work on that as we go to the next voting.
All right. Next game category is Best Family. So we have Astro Boy, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire.
So not to be that actually kind of guy, but
you're gonna be, yeah.
So, not Astro Boy, but Astro Bot. But yes, Astro Boy is awesome. So I know a little bit about each of these actually.
Mm-hmm.
So Astro Bot, everyone's kind of like, I think it's a little bit of overhype in like an area of drought where Nintendo's the only one doing like platformers and like more casual, easygoing games, and then Astro Bot comes in and kind of fills that void for people who don't have a Nintendo console. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Princess Peach Showtime was the second time Princess Peach has ever gotten a game where she is the main character, but it is not nearly as adventurous of a game as it could have been.
Well, yeah, wasn't that supposed to be like her Super Mario RPG installment, or like Super Mario World?
It's weird. It's basically, hey, Nintendo's trying to like branch out and do different things, and we made a Princess Peach game once and it was really successful and popular. Let's go ahead and do it again. And it's this weird, I'm not going to call it auto-scroller, but she's basically going and saving a theater, and so the puzzles and the platforming are very by the numbers, made for kids that are like half awake.
Oh, that's pretty lame.
Yeah. Now, her outfits are cool. Like, the feel, the appearance, cool. The actual game, less than stellar.
What are the kids saying nowadays? The vibes?
The vibes were off. It was mid. Jamboree, it has a lot of cool features that people actually like, but the more that I hear people playing about it, the more they're disappointed where it doesn't do enough in just the regular mini game portions to be enjoyable, but all the extra content is cool. Echoes of Wisdom. So, Adam had his downvote section. Here's my downvote section. Eiji Aonuma, I love you. I've learned to love Zelda, Legend of Zelda later in life. Not every Legend of Zelda game needs to be Breath of the Wild. It doesn't need to all be massively open world with crafting and huge section, all this like re-innovating everything. We can do 2D Zelda, more linear, less options, and it can still be good. I've heard the game was okay, and that it was cool that again, it's like Princess Peach. You get to play as Zelda for essentially the first time as the main character. But my vote goes to the Plucky Squire. I have not had a chance to play it. I've been waiting for this game for years, watching every trailer that came out.
So I remember before you even moved to Texas, you were talking about the Plucky Squire.
Yes. This is... I will inevitably play this game. It mixes 2D with 3D. It has platforming. It has puzzles. It has that cozy vibe, but there's also like combat, and it's just the fact that Devolver Digital is behind this explains a lot, because they really do a lot of the more different, interesting games. But I want this to win this category, and that's coming from the Nintendo fan.
Well, it's the one that looks the most interesting to me. So yeah, Plucky Squire getting my vote.
Woo!
All right, on to the next one. Oh, best fighting game. Okay, so
I'm gonna take you for a ride.
God.
There is a correct answer here. There's an objectively correct answer.
There is. But we were talking about,
and it's multiverses.
No. So, I've played 4 of these games. The only one I haven't played is Multiverses, and
you're not missing anything.
I know. Except for what is it? Super Shaggy.
Yeah.
I honestly had the most fun playing Sparking Zero, truthfully. However, I am so hyped for what might come out for Tekken that's where my vote has to go. Like, Marvel vs. Capcom, that doesn't need my vote. It doesn't need any help at all.
Oh my god.
And if Tekken 8 wasn't on this list and it was, I don't know, something else, like there's like this diesel fighting game. I think it's called Diesel Legends or something like that.
I'm also excited for that.
Yeah, it looks super hype. I watched Max play it for like 4 hours. And
what did he think?
They loved it. They played the hell out of it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, if that wasn't on, if Tekken 8 wasn't on here and there was something else, it would go to Sparking Zero. But I am so excited with what might come for Tekken that it's getting my vote.
I'm excited for when we're gonna come to this in like a year or two, and best fighting game is gonna be Marvel 4. Maybe not a year or two, but inevitably. There was a time where it was thought impossible, and we no longer exist in those times.
It'll be Marvel Infinity and Beyond.
Oh my god.
On to the next category, best RPG. So we are running into. Okay, so
Are things becoming difficult for you?
no, and
No.
that's the problem because
Mm.
they put a game on here that I had been anticipating since I was in high school, and that's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Man's been waiting his whole life.
I really was. I really was.
Was it everything you hoped for?
It was. It really was. And yeah, it's got its flaws, but god damn, game's so good. Story's so good. Side content, please add less to the third part. But yeah, it's so good. It's getting my vote, but I will talk about the others. Dragon's Dogma. I was never really into Dragon's Dogma 1, so I didn't play Dragon's Dogma 2. I hear it's really good, but then I also hear it's like a really good tech demo for another game that came out, and I honestly can't vote for that. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. It's a DLC.
Why
Stop
is he here?
Stop putting DLCs in these categories.
Don't ever do this again, Keeley. Don't let this happen.
Well, the money, my friend, the money.
Fuck the money.
Huh. Which one of us has a fuck money tattoo? Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I really enjoyed Like a Dragon when they released it on PlayStation 4, I want to say. It's I probably spent the most hours playing that game. But again, Final Fantasy's on this list, guys. God. Metaphor, I have not played. I know it's made by Atlas, same people that do Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, all those games. I just feel like it's going to be more of the same because a lot of their games are very samey. Eventually, I'll check it out and see if I like it or not. But since I haven't played it, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
So I've not played any of the games here, partially because of time, but mostly because of PC capability that has recently changed.
Mhm.
It is my desire to get Final Fantasy Remake for PC with the I can't remember the name of it right now, but basically the short but not actually all that short gameplay that Yuffie is a part of.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I want that on PC. I want to play through the whole game again with that and like it looking even better than it did on PS4. And then eventually to get to Rebirth. My opinion on Dragon's Dogma is that I was really excited for this, and then it came out and it kind of fell on its face after a couple weeks because the launch was rough. Please have learned from that when it comes to Wilds, Capcom. I beg of you. And then also, a lot of basically the opinion went from being super hyped to this, and then launch issues, and then wow, this is basically a remake of one, and that's not what we wanted. It's basically the opinion that I saw. Again, why is there DLC here? Knock it off, Jeff. Rebirth is gonna win. I have no attachment to the Yakuza series. I like people like a Dragon in the Yakuza series. I have no attachment to it. Rebirth is probably gonna win, but I gave my vote for Metaphor just because I'm hoping that my vote goes to there being like a sizable amount that maybe the company will know about. Not necessarily that it wins, but that Atlas will know, hey, you can branch out and do things that are different. You can you're not just the Shin Megami Tensei Persona machine. You can attempt to try different things and increasingly different things.
Well, they do Digital Devil Saga. They did this old tactics game called La Pucelle. That was really cool. Don't they also do Disgaea?
I think you're right. I think they do Disgaea. I will look that up. Disgaea is. I only ever played part of one, and it was very, very interesting.
Hmm.
Not bad, just different.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. They do more than you think, but those other games don't get advertised like Persona or Shin Megami Tensei does.
Atlas USA for at least for publishing Disgaea.
Okay, yeah. On to the next one. Best action / adventure.
Golly, I wonder what Chris voted for.
Oh, you voted for Outlaws, didn't you?
You definitely not.
Terrible fucking human being. So we have Astro Bot. We have Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I'm really, really happy to see Prince of Persia getting some releases again.
I also heard that game was legitimately good.
I loved Prince of Persia 2. I forget what like the other part of the title was, but it might have been like the Sands of Time or something like that. I don't recall. We have Silent Hill 2 remake. We have Star Wars Outlaws. And then we have The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Yeah, my vote's going for Silent Hill.
That's fair. Obviously, mine went to Echoes of Wisdom, but not just because it was Nintendo. When I looked at all of these, I'm like, well, Astrobot, I haven't played it. I don't know if the hype has really kept up with it. Prince of Persia I knew was good, but I've never touched a game in the series either. And if I have to pick between companies, and I'm picking between Ubisoft and Nintendo, wonder which one I'm going to pick. Silent Hill 2, I've seen gameplay of it. I think it technically counts as an action game, but like I've never really seen Silent Hill as anything but like horror, even if there is action. And so I was like, where's our horror game category, Jeff? Where's the horror game category?
We're not going to get one.
Yeah, we should. We really should. And we're not even like there's technically 5 games on this list, but as far as I'm concerned, there's 4. And then Echoes of Wisdom. So, yes, Nintendo fanboy, sure. If you want to call it that, yes. The real reason I picked it over the rest is that Grezzo has been, as a dev team, is not in-house Nintendo. And yet they've worked on a lot of things that were really good with Nintendo IPs. And so, if this were to win, or at least do well, that's another message to Nintendo besides, like, financial success, that it is okay for dev teams that are not in-house to make more games with their close to their heart, nobody gets the fucking keys to that lock IP. And I want Nintendo to know that, so that's where I cast my vote.
Okay, that's fair. Totally fair. Moving on to the next category. We have Best Action Game. Really, there's only 3 choices here. We have Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade, and Warhammer 40,000. I'm going to go with Stellar Blade.
So originally I went with Wukong, but I've decided I'm also going to agree and give it to Stellar Blade because I think it's one of the only categories this has, and it needs some sort of W.
And it's not for the reasons you think. Comment section. It's part of the reason, but it's not the only reason.
It can't be the only reason. He's a married man!
That's right. It's just a really good game. All right, moving on to the next category. Best Community Support. Okay.
I feel like there's 2 correct answers here, but
they're really...
You have the floor.
There's 3. There's 3 correct answers here. All right. I shit on No Man's Sky. I did. Never going to go back to it. However, all the promises they made to get people to pre-order, they finally delivered on. What, a decade after its release? So I'll give it.
Yes,
I'll give them that. They actually made good on their promise.
And then some.
And then some, exactly. Final Fantasy 7 14, super fun MMO RPG. Bit of a learning curve getting into it. It's Final Fantasy, so it's always going to have a place in my heart. However, Baldur's Gate 3 is everything I wanted in an RPG and then some. I wanted it to have good writing. I wanted it to have good music. I wanted it to have a good art style. And I wanted it to be good enough to get my wife into it. She still plays it to this fucking day.
Sounds like a success to me.
Baldur's Gate 3. Plus, it's based on D&D. Unfortunately, it's 5th edition, but here we are.
Yeah. So my vote was for No Man's Sky just because a video that maybe, if you guys want Adam to watch, because I've seen it already. I don't know if you've seen that video by Internet Historian, but it is basically, it goes over how bad things were, and then it goes over from the studio's perspective on how everything went, and it focuses on how they brought their game back. And they literally just released like at least one, if not two, huge game updates this year that had some of my other friends being like, "Oh, we're getting into the No Man's Sky again, man." So
I don't need to be reminded how bad things were when they released. I was there when the scriptures were written.
Do not recite the ancient magic.
That's right. I was there, but I'm happy that they corrected course and fixed the game. Again, unless it's free, you won't see me back in No Man's Sky.
Understandable. You won't see me play it because I'm not into sci-fi. So,
on to the next category, best ongoing.
Well,
why is Diablo 4 on this?
I was literally just about to be like, Diablo 4 fans, those of you that are left, I'm very sorry.
I hung on till the DLC came out, and when they broke the new character just to sell the DLC, I downloaded Path to Exile today. Guess where I'm going?
So, just so you guys know, Adam did try to get me into Diablo specifically via Diablo 2.
When they did the console release.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't bad. I just don't really enjoy dungeon crawlers anymore because I kind of like fried myself on that kind of gameplay a long time ago. But it was definitely probably the best of that genre from that time. So for him to say that means get it together, Blizzard. That's what that means.
You know what could have been in this place? This could have been No Man's Sky. It could have been... It could have been.
I don't know why that's not here.
Baldur's Gate 3, which is just getting its big patch number 7.
I also don't know why it's not here.
It really could have been any other game. I'm happy Destiny 2 is here because they've been consistently putting out good quality content since the game's release. But you know what? Final Fantasy 14's on the list.
That's what's getting my vote. Also because fuck Sony when it came to how they dealt with Helldivers 2 just entirely. But also I have bias against Fortnite because of a game that I really liked doesn't exist anymore because it. That's a whole nother story.
It's also Fortnite has not evolved. All they've done is add characters from my understanding.
They literally just advertise on how they're going back to OG Fortnite, and that's an advertisement. That's their new thing, is we're going back to the OG.
Gross. So anyway, Final Fantasy XIV gets my vote. On to the next one. Best performance. So, I know who I want to win, but I know who is going to win.
So who does Brianna White voice in Rebirth?
Aerith.
Okay, so is she the same, but it's the same voice actress from Remake then, right?
Yes.
I think she did a phenomenal job. I'm not changing my vote.
Yeah, we won't talk about her her Patreon categories.
Oh no.
There's some fucking. We'll do that off off camera, but
This is getting edited.
dude, that's who I want to win. But who is going to win is probably Melina. I want to say Jurgens from Hellblade 2. Even the first Hellblade was like solely based around her performance.
Okay.
But I have to vote for Brianna White. It's Final Fantasy. Like, I know who's gonna win.
He's nothing if not consistent,
That's
ladies
right.
and gentlemen.
That's right. Throwing curveballs left and right. On to the next one. Best audio design. Do I have to say anything?
I just gave it to Rebirth because I remember the sound design from the first game, and I'm like, it's just that, but better.
Yeah, it only gets better. I will say, massive shout out to Silent Hill 2. The audio design in that game fucking carries the game. The gameplay can be clunky, but that audio, that'll put you right in Silent Hill. So, Final Fantasy VII getting my vote.
Best score in music.
Yeah, best score in music.
So this is another one where I'm like, Stellar Blade needs the W's it can get. And I was like, Stellar Blade! But at the same time, I'm like, man, Rebirth's gonna have, like, it's the remake's score was phenomenal, and like, this might sound a little dumb, but like Rebirth's score was kind of like experience changing. I don't want to say life changing, but like an absolute experience.
It was
Adam is just
It was so good. I bought the music score.
We are going a bit long, so I'll try to keep this very brief description, but there is a moment in Remake, spoilers if you haven't played it, but also if you haven't, what are you doing? Where they hold the iconic part of breaking into the intro of the battle music for Final Fantasy VII, almost like blue balling you almost, but like not at the same time, until a very specific moment in the game when action starts, and then they let it fly more triumphant than it's ever sounded, and it was euphoric.
Yeah. And it only gets
and
better.
that is, yeah. So Adam loves Final Fantasy VII since his youth. I got into it around 5 years ago now, and it was a great experience still for someone going to new, and as in playing the old game, the old original Vision, and then playing Remake, and I got the same level of feeling without the years of attachment. So, you know, maybe Stellar Blade. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you can vote how you want, but if Final Fantasy VII is on that list, sorry.
Understandable. Also, again, Silent Hill 2 probably get some credit for this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very good soundtrack as well.
Art direction.
Art direction. So we have a DLC on here.
So there's only 4 options.
Right. Well, there's really only 3 because I don't really consider Astrobot to be too high on the art direction list. Aesthetically, I'm giving this to Black Myth Wukong because, again, it's like Chinese mythology, Journey to the West. This is Son Goku we're talking about. And
also,
like,
the game is incredible looking.
I'm wearing my Dragon Ball Z shirt. Well, one of them. So it's everything in that game looks fantastic. We're going to skip past Elden Ring. Metaphor
probably looks amazing.
Yeah, but is it as stylish as Persona 5? I consider Persona 5 to be like the peak of art direction.
Stylized?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then Neva, whatever this is called, probably Neva. It looks nice, but it's, to me personally, it's too simplistic.
That's fair. I wanted to give it to Neva, however it's pronounced, but like then I was just like, oh, remember the first trailer of Black Myth Wukong, remember every other trailer after that, and then remember when we got like consistent gameplay and it like held up to the test that everyone gave it. Also, quick hot take, Elden Ring is like a good looking game. I've always felt like looking at it that it wasn't the most impressive thing I've seen.
Everything I've seen has been like, why is everything colored, like covered in pea yellow?
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm gonna get hate, but like Elden Ring to me doesn't seem like a gigantic leap from Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne in terms of like fidelity.
Right.
It probably is, but when I look at it, to me it doesn't feel like a leap, and therefore Wukong is very noticeable.
I think instead of putting Elden Ring Shadows of the Erd Tree on here, they could have put a game like Lies of P.
Oh, I would have voted for that in a heartbeat.
Right, yeah, I would have voted for that over Black Myth because Lies of P was made by like 2 fucking guys.
Do not get started to me on that. Again, a game I played the demo multiple times. I played through the entire demo, and I've been waiting to play through the game until I feel like I've earned it. That's like my weird video game challenges thing, but like I cannot wait to play Lies of P.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. On to the next category. If I hadn't already said, Black Myth Wukong got my vote. Best narrative.
So we know what's on this list.
Yeah. Yep. And it's the one that gets my vote. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's the greatest story ever told. It's the greatest story being ever told, being retold and reimagined.
So
Come at me,
I
bro.
gave my vote to Silent Hill 2 just because I know the story despite not playing the game, and I thought it was like very incredible that time. It's kind of weird that both of the like two of the big hitters on here are remakes essentially, although again, Rebirth is more of a reimagining, while I think Silent Hill 2 is more of like closer to an one for one.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that, not to get, we've already kind of crossed that line a little bit, but not to go too far over it again, there were some things that were happening in the design direction of Silent Hill 2. And then people complained about it and thought nothing was going to happen. And then Konami stepped in and said, we're changing all of that back to what you guys want, regardless of what other people might say. And there, at that point, I'm just like, oh, you know, you deserve this, in my opinion. You deserve this.
Sure. Yeah, they stood their ground on some probably highly contentious stuff, which is good. Like, Konami, good for you. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, though. On to the next category.
That was an audible click, ladies and gentlemen!
Best game direction. We have Astrobot. We have Balatro. We have Black Myth Wukong. A DLC.
We have a DLC.
We have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Metaphor. These lists are starting to look super samey. And I am going to vote in a direction that is consistent with my beliefs in game direction and game design. Black Myth Wukong is going to get my vote. And here's why. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a monster of a game. Even casually playing through it, I think the most well, I guess not casually, the most speed runs of this game are like 8 or 9 hours. And that's not New Game Plus. That's New Game Plus. New Game Plus isn't even that much different. It's like 5 hours. Black Myth Wukong, in my opinion, it set out to accomplish something, and it stuck to it, and it did it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, with how great it is, the side content can be a little daunting. And when you're forced to do side content, to progress the main story,
Oh. Ugh.
that's bad game direction. In my humble personal opinion, if I have to spend more than an hour traversing an outland on a chocobo, or if I have to like even just get a chocobo to go from point A to point B, no thanks.
I think that's an understandable take. My vote is also for Wukong because historical, and we've seen Sun Wukong in a lot of forms in anime and other media, but we've never really seen a lot of, at least not modern wise, Sun Wukong as like Sun Wukong direct lore. It's always an adaptation or an influence. And I think this game does what it does as a Souls-ish heavy action, lots of like boss game where you get to feel amazing and have a lot of options and you're constantly feeling cool. It's definitely went on that direction, but more importantly, it doesn't feel like they sacrificed the story they wanted to tell, the designs they wanted to make. Like, it doesn't feel like the story was sacrificed in any way. And I want us to go in the direction, I want Chinese developers to know that we are interested in the cool stuff that you can pull from your history and put into game form.
Yeah,
we will be interested
we're
in that.
not just interested in like Japanese media. We like all things cool, and like there was an old RPG that I used to play called Journey to the West, and it was like a turn-based strategy RPG using the characters from the Wukong myth, and it was super cool. Like it just told that story in albeit a much more condensed version. But it was very cool, and I really enjoyed it, and it's getting my vote because goddamn, Black Myth Wukong good.
It's time for the big one.
Okay, the last one. Also, I want to talk, say a word on Balatro. I have heard so many people talk about Balatro, and that like it was made by like one guy on the weekends, like while going through divorce or something. Like that last part's not true. I'm just like, this guy went through some shit to make this game. I don't even really know if it was made by just one guy, but it's an indie game that has made an impact for sure on a lot of people. But
the fact that it's here at Game of the Year and in so many categories is kind of like a win on its own.
I feel like it was released at a time when there was nothing else worth playing out. So it just picked up residual like attention.
That could be true. That could entirely be true. I would also agree that I think it came out during a time where expectations were kind of thrash of a lot of launches.
That's true too.
Whereas if those games came out and met expectations, or at least didn't like destroy them, maybe it wouldn't have got as much attention. But who knows?
Right. So looking at this list, we have Astrobot, Balatro, which we've already talked about, Black Myth Wukong, a DLC, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. Mr. Keeley, why is there a DLC on your Game of the Year category? It's not a game. It's a DLC.
I gotta agree with Adam. I've seen how much was added, and as big of a game, as big of a DLC and like map and everything that you get, it's still just additional to the actual game. And to go a slight step further, Elden Ring already won most anticipated game of the year. It already won game of the year, if I remember correctly. So why is the DLC taking away from spots that other games could have, but then also potentially taking away from a full-on game's chance to win game of the year?
Mm-hmm.
It's the title is Game of the Year. This isn't even its own game.
Right. Can you play Shadow of the Erd Tree without Elden Ring?
No, absolutely not. In fact, you have to progress a certain part through Elden Ring to be able to access Shadow of the Erd Tree content.
So this is where a lot of the drama is coming from, I feel like, in this year's Game of the Year awards. Aside from like the, all this voting that we've been doing for the last hour and 15 minutes, don't matter because it only counts for 10% of the actual votes. But I digress. Shadow of the Erd Tree, it may be, hey, this content may be the greatest piece of media people have taken in this entire year. Doesn't make it a game. It shouldn't be on your Game of the Year. I don't know how much FromSoft paid you. That's a joke. I'm sure you don't take any money from developers. That would be crazy. Or publishers. But it makes me sad to see that this game got a place on this list when all these many other games could have taken its place. Like, we talk about Lies of P again. Yes, it's another, like, Souls-like, but damn, was it good. Or, I don't know, just do, like, a 5-game list for Game of the Year. That would have been cool, too. Long story short, I would love to give this to Black Myth Wukong. However, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, in fact, my Game of the Year. It is the only game on this list that I have played repeatedly this year. So, that's where my vote's going. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
So, I think there's a good chance Rebirth is going to win. My vote did go for Black Myth Wukong. Again, Ad's been consistent with his love for Final Fantasy VII, but he's also been fair in other categories. My consistency in this is that I want the devs of that game to know, after they got absolutely slandered by game, quote-unquote, journalists, also quote-unquote, but where they actively tried to destroy them in the press. And if you look on Steam, as far as I know, it's still overwhelmingly positive for Black Myth Wukong, so they pretty much didn't do anything, but there's still the chance that they could have hurt them somewhat in sales, and we will never know how much they impacted them. But I want Chinese developers to know that we're not just going to assume that everything's Tencent and that everything's low quality. We're not going to assume that everything is tied to it might have like politics injected from your culture that could affect some things. We do want you to make more games, especially this dev team specifically. We want you to make more games. And so I would love for this to win out of everything here, because it feels like a game that earned it just as much as I feel that Rebirth, if it's the winner, will have earned it, but almost a little bit more just because of where the game's coming from. I won't be upset if Rebirth wins. I won't be upset really regardless of who wins, unless Shadow of the Erd Tree would irk me a little.
Yeah, so I'm for sure going to be partaking in some adult beverages during the show on, what is it, on Wednesday? Thursday? Wednesday?
Thursday. On
Thursday. So hardly anything's going to bother me. Again, unless a DLC wins Game of the Year, which I will then go to my Twitter, I'll type out something super mean, and then I'll delete it because it's not that big of a fucking deal. Yeah. So, end of the day, this is a fake award show where the points don't matter and the rules are made up.
And the people in the journalistic media have more of a say than the fans do, but you didn't hear that here.
Yeah. So if your game doesn't win, just take a breath, go outside, come back in, play the game you thought should have won, and give it some love. So those have been our votes for the 2024 Video Game Awards. Here in a moment, I'm going to open up conversation with Chris about our predictions. We've narrowed down our lengthy list to 5 possibilities that we would like to see, with some honorable mentions. With that being said, thank you for checking out this video of us voting for our particular games, preferences, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.